Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for the town hall meeting here at Missouri Southern State University. Appreciate you taking the time to join today. I hope everyone is having a fantastic summer. Certainly the summer weather has arrived, but I do hope you find some time for family and friends and enjoy your summer. So today's town hall meeting is intentionally scheduled the day after yesterday's Board of Governors meeting to provide our campus with the latest updates of the outcomes of the Board of Governors meeting. And also later this afternoon, we'll send out a message to campus through email that will outline a lot of the details that we talk about in the town hall meeting. So today we're going to first hear from a student, but then I'll provide some updates on Missouri higher education, including some of the legislative budget outcomes for this past spring, a little bit about enrollment, a budget update, some of the outcomes again of yesterday's Budget Audit Committee meeting from the Board of Governors, and then Vice President Youst will provide some information on facilities as well as our fall COVID plans. Lorinda Hackett will be speaking a little bit about the outcomes of yesterday's Board of Governors meeting regarding some new academic programs and tenure and promotion decisions. And then we'll certainly have some time for Q&A. And I always invite you to participate in that. That's why it's called a town hall. So great to have you here today. So I have the honor now of reminding all of us why we're here, and that is our students. And so today we thought we'd start by hearing from one of our students, and her name is Emma Willerton. And a little bit about Emma. She's from Joplin, a senior here at Missouri Southern, a triple major, marketing, management, and human resources. She's very involved on campus in many ways. She's in ODK. She works in the Office of University Relations and Marketing and does a lot of things on campus. So Emma, it is great to have you here. Thanks for joining us, and the podium is yours.
Hi, everyone. So there are two big things that I wanted from my time in college: support and belonging. We've always heard the saying that you really find yourself and discover things in high school, but really I'd argue that point that it's college that you really figure out who you want to be and what you want to do. To do such a monumental thing, we need support and belonging in our college experience. At Missouri Southern, I have professors who have been so supportive in our grades and our mental health, and in general, our college experience. I've had professors before that would have before and after every test remind us that they're there to talk about our grades, what points we need to study, and in general, how we can succeed. The support was great, but why are we as students here? You're here for us, but we're here for the education to be successful outside of school. The best support I've received in my entire MSSU journey came from a professor's class that I thought would just be another mark off the list of requirements course. On my way out one day, Professor Dunlop stopped me and said, "Hey, can I have a moment?" He said, "I've got some connections and they tend to come looking for interns. What are you seeking in your degree and what do you want to do with that?" A little surprised, I told him I'm triple majoring, management, marketing, HR, but what I really want to do is anything marketing. He said, "Okay, if you'll send me your resume, I'll get it out there and see what I can find for you." Nothing my professors could have done would have shown me more support than going above and beyond what was in his job description and what he's actually here to do. He's here to teach us, but he's also a professor that wants to help his students get through their journey to a career that they really want. I will have a short time receiving an education, but a career will last me a lifetime. So I feel like that showed me a lot of support in my journey here, which brings me to my next requirement of MSSU, belonging. To know where we want to go, we have to understand where we belong. I feel like finding a place at Southern as a student can be really easy, at least it was for me. I found my place working in URM. Here, I've been immersed in the company's culture, made professional connections, and made lifelong friends. Working at Southern, I learned a lot about teamwork and experienced real applications of my degree, which I thought was really cool. And honestly, because I found my place at Southern, I'm confident that I can go out into the world after graduation, knowing that I'll be successful there because I'm coming from an inclusive, immersive, and friendly environment here. As students, we're here for our end goal, our career. It's what we want you to be here for too.
Thank you, Emma. Great to have you here today. A reminder of many great things, the work of our faculty and staff, and the importance of our students connecting. And they connect in many different ways as student employees, student athletes, engagement in research, things that go outside the classroom, but everyone, all of our faculty and staff are part of that. So thank you very much. And I failed to mention you are a 4th generation Lion, which is pretty amazing. So thanks, Emma. I want to provide you some updates on the legislative session that just occurred this spring. A number of emails have gone out over the course of the semester to provide you some updates. Today, here's where we're at. The Missouri House and Senate passed a number of bills that are really going to have a positive impact on Missouri Southern. Those bills are on the desk of Governor Parsons, so they still need to be signed into law. But here's the summary of where we're at on that. One point is that there was a 3.7% core increase for all public higher education institutions. For Missouri Southern, that would be about $880,000 added to our core or ongoing budget. So right there, it's been a great year for higher education. You know, I can tell you, if you look around the country, there are not too many states right now that are investing in higher education. And we're fortunate to be in one of those states at this time. And we certainly want to thank our legislature, our legislative delegation from Southwest Missouri, who really went to bat for higher ed and our campus this year. The second point is perhaps even more remarkable. In addition to that $880,000 in the legislative bills that were passed, there was $2 million in core increase specifically for Missouri Southern. So that is above the 3.7%. And assuming the governor signs that bill, this will have an impact on our university for many, many years to come. Because if you look at Missouri Southern compared to other public universities in Missouri, in terms of resources, state support, tuition, on a per student basis, we have been at or near the bottom. And this will help us not just move up in that list, but it's an investment in our future. So we're very grateful for that. Also, there's a capital projects bill that includes $2.5 million for the repair and renovation of Taylor Performing Arts Center. I think we're all aware of the importance of that facility, not only to our academic programs, but also the broader community. That funding will enable us to reopen Taylor Performing Arts Center. There is a backlog on materials and labor in the market right now, so it will take a while to do that. But it's really good news because it's a firm commitment by the state to get that facility up and running again. Also, a policy bill that passed the legislature was to remove the current cap on tuition for the next 5 years for public higher education. As you may know, there was a bill passed a number of years ago that caps the amount that we can increase our tuition connected to CPI. There are some other things that are part of that bill that actually enabled us to increase tuition more than that if we wanted to for this coming year. But this bill would provide the Board of Governors flexibility, freedom, have more of a market-driven system, and give us some more autonomy in setting tuition. And so that's, I think, some really good news. Also, as part of that bill, it enabled institutions, if they choose to do so, to have differential tuition. Now, right now, the Missouri Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development is developing some definitions of what is differential tuition, but it's likely that we would be able to, if we chose to do so, set different tuition levels for different programs. So you could envision maybe a high cost or high demand program having higher tuition rates than others. Part of that bill does say that we could no longer charge course fees. And again, that has to be defined. We have course fees, we have program fees, but again, some new flexibility for higher education that we can take a look at in the coming year. So with that, a few more comments about the budget. So yesterday, the Board of Governors Budget Audit Committee met. I want to compliment the work of Vice President Youst and his team on working with Governor Carlos Haley, who's chair of that group, to develop a budget for the coming fiscal year. So this would be fiscal year 2022, which begins the beginning of next month, July 1st. So I just want to give you some highlights of the budget that was approved by our Board of Governors yesterday. The board approved an operating budget for next year for our university of $82.7 million, and that is an increase from the previous year. If you look at what the board approved, there is a $2.7 million deficit for next year. So basically, we are spending more than we're taking in at this point. And furthermore, part of that budget included some one-time federal money, and a lot of those funds have flown into universities, about $7.1 million. The budget did include, of course, the increase in state support that I mentioned earlier, and also a tuition increase of $10 per credit hour for in-state undergraduate students. So that's about a 4% increase. In setting that number, we balanced as best we could the need to be affordable and try to keep tuition low, but also our need for revenue to run the university, support our faculty and staff, and of course, simple inflation that impacts Missouri Southern as well. If you look at the budget, even with that tuition rate increase, we will have less tuition revenue next year because we are anticipating again a drop in enrollment. And so that's a reminder of the importance of everything we do to recruit, retain students, and help them be successful. And when I think about that, we look at numbers. I've shown to the campus some significant declines in new student numbers the last 4 or 5 years. But of course, all those numbers have a name. And so I always try to remind people, every one of those students is an individual. They're precious to us. We want them to succeed. That said, we're really going to have to work together in some new ways to try to bolster enrollment in the coming years. So with that, another part of the board approved budget was $500,000 in base increase for faculty and staff compensation. So I want to talk a little bit about that. The board approved that amount. Now that includes both benefits and salary, that $500,000. So first, no furloughs for next year. Thank you for those who went through that the past year. I know that's been difficult. So no furloughs moving forward. Also then the question is, how does one distribute that $500,000 in salaries and benefits? And over the last month or two, President's Cabinet has had a lot of conversation about that. We've met with some of our shared governance leaders from Staff Senate and Faculty Senate. There are a lot of trade-offs. There's no perfect solution, but we landed on the philosophy that we want to, rather than a percent based on salary increase for everyone, to try to spread that out and support our lower paid employees to a relatively greater degree. And so where we landed on that was a $750 base increase for full-time employees, and that would be prorated for part-time employees. So to illustrate that a little bit of what that impacts, what those impacts are on different employees, if one were to earn $10.30 an hour, for example, that $750 base increase would be a 3.5% increase. Okay, if you were to earn $50,000 a year, that $750 base increase would be about a 1.5% increase in your salary. And then if you, for example, earned $100,000 a year, that increase would be 0.75%. So I think you can see the kind of the principle that we use in distributing those salary increases. I know we all wish it could be more, but with the budget situation we have, we felt that's what we could and needed to do. So pleased to at least share that with campus today. So with that, I wanted to turn it over to Vice President Yost, who's going to give us some updates on facilities and a little bit about COVID.
Thank you, Dr. Van Galen. I want to tell you about a couple of projects going on our campus. One is ramping up and the other one is going to be ramping down. So let's And both of these projects, keep in mind, these are not funded by any of the budget information that Dr. Van Galen just mentioned to you. So this is over and above that budget. So let's talk about the one that's ramping up. And it consists of several projects: the street and crosswalks, parking lot improvements, oval improvements, and tunnel enhancements. So let's look at some of the pictures of the tunnel. These are just renderings of what the tunnel will look like when we are done. We'll have new siding on the interior walls with some graphics on both sides. So I think it'll be a great improvement. We heard from the students, and this is one of the major areas that they would like to have seen improved. So we heard them, and we are going to address that. All of these projects should be started within the next month or so, and hopefully they'll be done by, I'd say, by October. So after the tunnel, the other project that is ramping down is the Lion Village. The Lion Village is so close to completion that we took a tour yesterday with the Board of Governors, and they were very impressed with that. This is a $92,000 square foot facility that will house 304 beds. There will be a combination of suite, private rooms, semi-private rooms. What you're looking at is a suite. There will be a 4-person suite, and they have a kitchen area that they will be shared by all 4 people. So it's a very impressive facility. So it'll be very well taken by the students when they get here. So let's talk a little bit about fall COVID outlook. As of today, Missouri Southern will be face-to-face in the fall. It's about as normal as we can get under the circumstances. We are under the modified phase 1, if you wanted to follow through and look online to see what that is. That means that face masks and coverings are not required, but are strongly encouraged, especially for those individuals who have not been vaccinated. But we strongly encourage you to get vaccinated. And I'll repeat that a couple of times here as I go through this. If you're unable to get vaccinated, reasonable accommodations, if desired, will be provided either through student services, if you're students, or through HR. External guests are allowed on campus, but must comply with this phase. Any mass gatherings of 50 or more will require masks, and social distancing is encouraged for all gatherings. Residence life will be available for quarantine. That means that we have some resident halls that will be empty that we could use for quarantine and isolation space if needed. Bime Dick Recreation Center will be operating at 75% capacity with normal programming. Athletic events will take place accordingly to NCAA and MIAA guidelines, and the library will be fully open. Safety is our #1 priority here on campus. We have heard that cases in Jasper County are on the rise. So if you are not vaccinated, masks are highly recommended. Vaccinations are readily available. Don't come to work ill. Call in if you have to. And we have masks available for you if you so desire to wear one. If conditions change, as they have in the past, we will adapt accordingly. We have proven to be very, very good at that. Stay safe, social distance, wear a mask if you feel the need, and by all means, if you can, get vaccinated. With that, I want to turn it over to Lorenda Hackett, your future interim provost.
Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon. Yesterday, June 16th, 2021, the Missouri Southern State University Board of Governors approved the following individuals for tenure and promotion. I want to wish congratulations to each of the faculty members for this accomplishment. Represents a significant amount of work executed in areas of teaching, areas of service, and scholarly work. I also want to thank the Tenure and Promotion Committee for the large amount of work that is done to review tenure and promotion applications, as well as the efforts of our college deans and college department chairs as they support their faculty in those endeavors and serve as a mentor in the various respective areas that you see represented on the pictures before you. The roster of approved faculty includes individuals from all 4 colleges, and is representative of the caliber of work and the quality of people at Missouri Southern. It is certainly appropriate that at this town hall, following yesterday's board approval, that these faculty are lionized, if you will, for their accomplishments, as well as exhorted to serve as senior leaders and in their efforts to facilitate the marketplace of ideas that makes Missouri Southern special, that allows students such as Emma to be a triple major, where we educate and graduate knowledgeable, responsible, and successful global citizens. The second item on my agenda is to discuss 3 new degree opportunities that were approved the last 2 Board of Governors meetings, 2 yesterday and 1 prior to that. The first is a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Sciences. This is a new degree, but it is in a lot of ways overlaps with the current general biology degree. It will be terrific for those individuals that are seeking professional program entry, pre-dentistry, pre-medical, physician's assistants, pre-pharmacy, pre-veterinarian, large animal veterinarian, I might note, as opposed to small, optometry, you name it. And so my thanks to Department Chair Jason Willen for his efforts and the department's efforts to pull that degree together in a very timely fashion. The second degree is the Master of Arts in Teaching. This is designed for students that already have a 4-year bachelor's degree in a content area. They're interested in teaching, but have not completed a traditional teacher preparation program. This is going to be a really important degree, for it provides an answer, or will provide an answer for the critical shortage areas that our public schools and private schools have in the K-12 setting. Shortage areas in the past have included special education, have included science and math, and now by definition, every teaching area is in a shortage at this point in time. And I suspect that the pandemic probably will exacerbate that even more. We're not seeing the effects of that yet at this time. The students may be contracted as a teacher while completing this cohort-styled online program. They can finish in 2 years. The last degree is the Bachelor's in Musical Theater. This is an in-depth and interdisciplinary approach to students that have interest in both disciplines. They may also be interested in a master's in fine arts, and probably students are more specialized, maybe have an interest in opera or stage play or film. And this degree connects to both, well, to many of our public schools because of the local show choir presence that a lot of our public schools have. So my thanks to each of these departments for their willingness to think as if there is no box. We know we have a lot of enrollment challenges, and to continue to do the same things we've done over and over, expecting different results, really aren't going to, make as much headway as we need, perhaps. So anything that is on the cutting edge of connections to our community, the needs of our community members, and connections to workforce development are going to make a big difference in the overall future as Missouri Southern moves forward. Thank you very much.
Open for questions. Right now, we just have a few. The first one is there a length of time that employees have had to work at MSSU in order to be eligible for the raise?
Anybody has been employed since May 31st of this year will receive that.
Okay, thank you. This person comes across with they understand the desire to give raises to improve morale. However, how does a deficit budget coincide with giving raises?
I'll begin, and then Vice President Hughes can chime in. The annual budget is a snapshot of where we're at for this year. Last year, we actually had a larger budget deficit. So we have to look at the longer picture. We still have a significant amount of reserves. We have more federal funds coming in, but underneath that, our basic financial challenge is enrollment. So I mentioned earlier that tuition revenue this year will be down significantly compared to last year, even though we raised tuition rates. So we can afford to give those modest raises now. I mean, I think it's important that we do that to recognize and retain our workforce. So we are fine financially to do that now, but it's a longer view that I think is most concerning. But we have an opportunity here to really focus on student recruitment, student success. That would be my perspective. Rob, what's your view on that?
I would agree with that. Our employees have been a couple of years now without raises, and last year they were furloughed, or this year that we're in, we were furloughed. Well, most of the employees were. So we felt, and I believe the board concurred by their adoption of the budget and this approval of this amount, that in lieu of, another year of either declining compensation or steady compensation, that we need to have a modest increase for our employees as an appreciation for the hard work that they did, and the appreciation for the furloughs that they took one for the team.
Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen. Rumors have been circulating that furloughs will not happen this year, which we have talked about earlier, but will layoffs happen? Is that something that's in the cards for Missouri Southern?
At this time, we do not have plans for layoffs. That said, we need to be very thoughtful in filling open positions, especially as our enrollment has declined significantly. So, I guess I would never say there will not be any layoffs this year, but it's certainly not part of our plans right now.
Will Missouri Southern require all students, current and prospective, to take the COVID-19 vaccination before moving in to campus this fall?
We have yet to decide that. Right now, we are not requiring our students to be vaccinated. That's always a possibility. We're looking at the possibility of how can we encourage students and employees for them to get vaccinated. So we're looking into that right now.
Where are we currently sitting for enrollment, and what do those numbers look like percentage-wise from past years?
So we do have in the room a couple of experts, Dr. Hewitt, our Dean of Admissions, and then Dr. Wingert from Student Affairs. So I think they have some numbers they could share with the campus.
As of Monday morning, when we last ran date-to-date comparisons, we are down in enrolled credit hours by about 19%, and we are down in head count by approximately 16%. That's date-to-date comparison of overall enrollment.
Dr. Hugh, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe new student recruitment and where we're at on that, please?
Sure, absolutely. So as of Monday, first-time freshmen admits were up 3%, and enrollment for first-time freshmen, we're at a 22.6% yield of those admits. For transfer, we're down 11% in admits. However, of those who are admitted, we're at a 41.8% in enrollment with the transfer students.
Thank you. How does this increase affect minimum wage increases in January for the same 10.30 an hour group?
Of course, the 1030 folks will get bumped up. I believe, what is it, 36 cents? I believe it's the 750 is the equivalent of 36-cent increase. And then beginning January 1st, some of those individuals will be bumped up to the new minimum wage of $11.15. So as of January 1st of 22, all employees will be making at least $11.15.
The $10 per credit hour increase for tuition was mentioned. Are there any other tuition increases coming for fall, or is that all?
Of course, the out-of-state tuition rate will go up accordingly. And the distance rate will go up $10 a credit hour.
So all those will go up $10 a credit hour.
Well, the out-of-state will go up a little more than that. Out-of-state will go up, I think, around $32 per credit hour.
Okay, thank you. Do we have something in the works looking ahead to allow for an increase in pay on an annual basis?
We always look at that. You know, it all is contingent upon the budget. Just like we're having questions now, how we could do a pay increase when we adopted $2.7 million deficit budget. Everything is contingent upon the budget. As soon as the enrollment picks up and the budget turns around, we'll definitely, that's the number one priority for a lot of us, is to get more pay for our employees. So we know that we pay is our pay from our employees is not as adequate as it needs to be. We'll always look at that.
Are there other degree programs that are being created to entice more students to enroll? Graduate degrees for the working, non-traditionally aged students?
Yes, there are. There are several that are in the works. There is a master's degree in healthcare administration that is probably going to start through the governance in the fall semester. We're also looking at an emergency services baccalaureate degree, which is a true interdisciplinary effort between criminal justice and EMS biology. I would add that we are looking at a type of neuroscience degree. It's going to take a little bit longer planning to see. It's going to take some additional resources, but that is an item that's up for discussion. And all of these have had meetings. All of these groups have met to discuss what that might look like for each area. And we also have a sports and recreation management degree. Again, an interdisciplinary approach through the business college and through the College of Education, specifically in the kinesiology department. Those are the ones that come to my mind. Dr. Van Galen, if there are others that I'm not aware of, you
I
certainly
think
could
there's
add.
probably been some discussion of entrepreneurship as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you, guys. Has the PC accepted the non-tenured faculty promotion policy? Is that something that has come to PC?
So there is a master instructor policy that Provost's office and I worked on with Faculty Senate Executive Committee. So the final version of that has been agreed to and will be the next faculty handbook. So in general, yes, but I think we need to make sure there's clarity on what that final policy is. So I think that's what the question is referring to.
Can we talk a little bit about the nursing program and the good news that we have for that department?
Certainly. I would be excited to. It's great news, frankly. Earlier in May, the Missouri Board of Nursing met with Dr. Van Galen, Dr. Carson, Dr. McGrain, myself, Dr. Schooler, the nursing department, Dr. Lisa Beals, for their follow-up on-site visit, which was conducted virtually, of course. And the Missouri Board of Nursing, short story, approved all the recommendations. They approved all the work that has been submitted by the nursing department. And the best result of that is an approval of curriculum that will be initiated with the fall 2021 cohort. And since that decision, the nursing department has been accepting applications. In fact, just last week, they have sent letters for admission, and they are enrolling students for the fall 21 cohort, which is tremendous news.
Wonderful. Will MSSU return to 85% CPUA for faculty? Coupa, yeah.
5% of Coupa.
So historically, we have used 85% of Coupa as our starting benchmark, if you will, for salaries for faculty incoming. course, you have to look at leapfrogging and other issues to make sure. But 85% of Coupa for the designated zip code for that position. I'll start over. So Coupa is our benchmarking data that we use for faculty positions, and we use 85% as a starting place. And so sometimes we have to look at whether or not, when we bring a new faculty in, if we have leapfrogging and other items where we can't fully meet Coupa. But we do use that by zip code for each specific position and department. And each faculty member has a specific zip code that's tied to them. So we do use it as a starting point for benchmarking purposes, but each position is analyzed by collaboration with academic affairs and HR and the dean's office.
Thank you, Mr. Dewsbury. Will there be any increases in housing costs?
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head the exact amount, but there were slight increases to housing costs and a restructure with a new Lion Village coming online.
Thank you very much. Is there a possibility that vaccines will become mandatory for faculty and staff?
Not that we've discussed at this time.
I would add, we continue, and that is correct. We continue to track the numbers. If you look at what's going on currently in Southwest Missouri in our area, the numbers are up. And so I just reinforce Vice President Yu's comment, and I know people have different perspectives and reasons, but vaccination is it's really key to helping us all be healthy and to have a great fall semester. So please consider that if you're able.
Do we know the exact number of students that we have enrolled for fall 2021?
Number as of Monday for fall 2021 is 3,236.
This is a good one. Positivity is fantastic. What can I do now as a university employee to help improve our student retention and recruitment efforts? Helping at upcoming Lion Pride visit days is one option, but are there other opportunities?
It's a big question right there. Thank you for asking. There are just so many things that we can all be doing. One is to engage, right? There with every opportunity for a Lion Pride visit day. If you have the opportunity to engage with the community in any sort of way, to talk about Missouri Southern in a positive light and all of the great things that we do. If you have the opportunity to directly interact with prospective students at the K-12 level or have any partnerships with those areas, that always helps put Missouri Southern as first and foremost on people's minds. Internally, anything that we can do to make sure that students are aware of when and how they can get enrolled, and making sure that we've built quality plans of study for them to progress in a timely manner, and that we're delivering a great product for our students to have the tools that they need to be able to go forward and succeed.
And Heather, I might just add that I think Emma may have said it best, and that is that aspect of belonging. And so the more we can communicate, the more we connect with people, the more we simply expand our sphere of influence, because we just take time to talk to people and to engage them. That can happen. We have a lot of official things set up to do, but it's that one-on-one connection that makes a true difference. And whether that be, as a staff, or whether that be as a faculty, that's that personal. It'll be so good to get back to be able to talk to people face to face and not maintain digital relationships, and where that mentoring can be maximized. So I think, there are things that you can do, but that facilitating of that belonging in community is huge, no matter what official activity you are involved in.
Thank you. Have we seen an uptick in applications since the MOSO merit scholarships have been released?
I would say the answer to that question is yes. We have seen an uptick in not just applications, but admits for those applications. So we have a lot of students who are really excited about the new scholarship that we have for the fall. We've had just over 600 students accept MOSO merit, and I think it was like around 50 students who declined the offer. So that's significant, and I think that's one of the factors that we can use to tell what enrollment is going to look like for the fall.
Great. Thank you so much. Does next fiscal year's budget include any of the proposed diversity, equity, and inclusion department and/or designated person for those efforts?
We have established a budget for the diversity, equity, and inclusion, but we have not included a body in that yet. That's not to say that there may not be somebody in that position.
Will student employees also be getting a pay increase?
So in years past, you may recall, for student employees, Missouri Southern is not legally required to follow minimum wage. And that's not just for student employees, but we're not required since we're a public state agency. So in the past, we increased students by 7.65%, which was the FICA increase. We have not discussed that from an HR perspective, if they will receive a 7.65% increase at this point. But Rob, if you have, or Julie, any additional information. So again, there has to be some separation between our student workforce minimum wage and our entry level wage for a full-time employee. And so we are going to, I'm sure, try to create some sort of separation as it has typically been, but that's still yet to be discussed. Yeah.
Thank you. As we all know, our students are our ultimate goal. But with the trying times and things as of late, have there been discussions for employee retention?
As Dr. Van Galen mentioned, in the budget currently, there is no budget number for reduction in employees, staffing. But with that being said, as he mentioned, and I would concur with this, and this happens quite frequently, as openings become available, as people leave, and there are quite a few openings right now on our campus that really think about consolidating positions and not filling a position, look at another position that somebody else can pick up the slack and take on a little more responsibilities. We tendency have to bump them up a little bit. We save money for the university. That employee that has taken on more responsibility gets a little bit higher compensation, and it's a win-win-win for everybody if we can pull that off. But it's a lot of work on everybody's part, and it's a willingness to sit down and look at that, and we need to do that as each position becomes available to be filled.
How many of the new and current degree programs will be offered 100% online?
Of the new programs, the Masters of Art in Teaching is completely online. The 2 undergraduate degrees, I'm not for sure the exact percent, but I'm sure have a very small percent of online coursework. Most would probably fall into the general education aspect of those degrees. And the ones that are yet on the horizon, that determination has not been made. The healthcare administration degree I know will have a significant online curriculum presence. Other than that, I don't know the specifics.
Thank you. Will a retirement incentive be offered this year?
Not at this time.
As minimum wages continue to go up and raises are minimal to the faculty and professional staff, how will the salary compression issues be addressed?
We have to look at that on a case-by-case basis right now. We have looked at That's the reason we were doing the $750 flat amount per employee so that the people that are making the smaller amounts get a bigger increase hourly rate wise, if you will. So hopefully that will address some of the issues that we have in the gap. But as those folks come up the ladder and reach the next level, we always have to look at the compression issue, and we just have to dig a little harder and look at that. It's a hard task to take on because in order to address that, where do you draw the line and how much do you give to the next person to make that compression issue go away? So it's a very expensive project, but we're always cognizant of that.
As we're talking about recruitment, is there also been outreach to students that are only a few semesters short of graduation? Looking to retain those students.
Summer, we set up a collaboration between the Office of Institutional Effectiveness and the deans and department chairs to run lists of students who were close to graduating. And those individuals were contacted by phone by the departments. So we look to continue to make that a standard practice, probably in the summertime, to run those lists and make individual contacts with those students to see if they want to come back and finish.
This is a clarification to the non-tenure track question earlier. Will the non-tenure track promotion change affect all non-tenure track positions, lecturers, master instructors, etc., or just master instructors?
It does not apply to the lecturer rank.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Has PC addressed concerns found in the load and compensation survey conducted by Faculty Welfare Committee?
The Faculty Welfare Committee made that available to Academic Affairs just a few weeks ago. I know that Dr. Carson has looked at the document. I know Dr. Van Galen has had access to that as well. I have also reviewed that document, and as of July 1, I'll be able to comment further.
Great. Can we offer, or has there been thought to graduate assistantships to students who achieve graduate degrees and help aid in our workforce?
That would be my question, but I don't know that there's been any consideration of adding graduate assistants. It's come up, I think, at Graduate Council, but more to come.
Do we know yet if gatherings such as the staff welcome back picnic will be a possibility this coming year?
We hope so. We're gonna shoot for that.
Do we know what the number one reason is we're not getting students to return or start at MSSU?
I think there are a lot of different factors when we're talking about new students coming to Missouri Southern and returning students. As far as new students, I think there are a lot of reasons that they may not decide to come to Missouri Southern. The recent Hanover survey that we received information from, so we had current students who were surveyed as well as students who were admitted and did not decide to come to Missouri Southern. The three top reasons why students may not stay at Missouri Southern or decide to come. The first one had to do with scholarship, and I think that we are addressing that with MOSO merit. The second one was to deal with outreach and using social media to share information with prospective students. And that's something that I know that the admissions team as well as the URM team has been talking about and actually working on and putting plans into action for that. The other one had to do with being able to share academic information with prospective students and the ability for faculty to meet with the students and just to share the information. And I do think that there's progress going on in that area, as well as not just faculty in the admissions team, but the entire campus getting on board and working together to share, all the different opportunities that we have to offer here. So those were the three top things. And I think that Missouri Southern is making great strides in all three areas with that.
With regard to law students or non-returners, we do get some data from the Enrollathon effort when we are reaching out to those students as to why they may not be returning. And a lot of the top reasons they will state as personal or financial or life situations that have come up. The enrollment work group has finalized a non-returning student survey that we hope to be able to roll out in the coming years to reach out to those students and figure out why they have left in a more formal manner.
Thank you, ladies. Are we currently working on our plan COVID-wise to come back to campus? So our return to campus guide. So what everything's going to look like in the fall, as far as down to maybe social distancing in the classrooms and things of that nature. Is that in progress?
So I think right now we are following the guide in the sense that we are in the modified phase 1, and that is part of that document. That is the contingency plan, of course, and the return to campus guide. I think we'll be making updates to through the rest of the summer to make sure that it aligns with where we are, depending upon which phase we are in on the contingency plan.
Were funds made available to complete the Reynolds Hall renovations?
Reynolds Hall renovation? No, we did not receive any funds from the state for that, and I'm not sure that we can afford to do that on our own right now.
So I might add to that, because I think I might know where that question came from. There was a committee formed in the Missouri House to gather ideas for potential use of future federal funds that come to the state. So it was kind of a idea collecting exercise. So I gave testimony on some ideas from Missouri Southern. One of those ideas was $12 million to complete Reynolds Hall. And another one was about $20 million, which would be the larger phase for TPAC. So those ideas have been submitted, but at this point, and I think it'll be a matter of months before we hear anything back on that. So short answer is no, but we did put that on the table before the legislature.
Thank you. Do we know yet if there will be insurance premium increases this year?
So the insurance committee has been meeting weekly throughout the last several weeks. And actually we have a meeting today. So if anyone would like to join us in the end zone facility, those are always public and available for you to attend. We'll meet from 3:15 to just a little after probably 5 tonight. But yes, there will be changes to our current plans. As far as plan design changes, some of our plans will have some plan design changes, and then also premium changes as well. So we're faced with just over a $1 million increase due to pharmacy, and the costs of pharmacy claims are not decreasing. So we've been blessed for the past 2 years that Missouri Southern's been able to pick up the increases and not pass those off to the employees. But this is the year of some very large expenses with pharmacy. And so we'll put out some additional information as we get closer to open enrollment and ways that you can help, such as utilizing generics, engaging with Cigna and using cost comparison tools. And so There will be changes this year, and just as soon as the insurance committee votes on that information, we will get that prepared and distributed across campus.
This is kind of a follow-up to that, Evan. Will the WIP program maintain into the future for insurance?
Yeah, so the wellness incentive program will continue. It'll have the same components, the 400 points as it's had in the past. There is an update though. So for our spouses, our insured spouses, instead of receiving a $25 one-time payment for completion of those activities, it'll be a $150 payment. So for anyone that has an insured spouse on our Cigna plan, if they go out and complete that and those activities and get their preventative exam, biometric screening, and health assessment done within the year, then they will also qualify for that $150 one-time payment for spouses, $300 for employees.
Thank you. So we're talking about construction on the Oval beginning in July and possibly finish in October. Do we know if part of the Oval will still be available for activities such as Campus Involvement Day, Community Day, picnics, etc.?
We are trying to work around a lot of those events, so that we've made the architect and the engineers very aware that we need to have the Oval available for certain events. And so we're trying to expedite both the completion of it and working around any existing events that we have on campus.
Is there any funding for the upgrading of athletic facilities such as locker rooms for visitors, stadium entrance, etc.?
Not at this time.
Will MSSU add an infant room to the LCA in the future?
We're not sure at that.
I'm not aware of.
Yeah, I'm not
any-
sure if
I'm
that's
not
going to
aware of
happen,
anything.
but we would always like to do that. We would have to probably expand the LCA, and so we would love to be able to do that, but right now that's not in the works.
And we are running close to time, so I'm just going to take a few more questions here, just a couple more. We look at, while students are not coming, but have we looked at what is making our students return or stay, and then supporting initiatives to strengthen retention?
Yes, we do anecdotally know why students stay, and a lot of it revolves around what Emma shared with us before. They stay because of the people and the faculty and staff who invest in them and their futures. So the relationship building there is key to why a lot of students, at least that I've spoken to and some of my colleagues, that's one of the critical reasons of why they stay.
Thank you. And then we'll go ahead and close out with this one, which is very nice. I just like to say, as a transfer student, MSSU is my third college, and I've absolutely loved it. I think it's a great school. And once the word is out, we can increase enrollment. So I appreciate that. And specifically in my department, I would encourage any students to reach out to us, because we would love to gather more student testimonials. Our students really want to hear from students that are having great experiences. So always our department is open to listen to those. So Dr. Van Galen, if you don't mind closing out for us today.
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate all of the questions. I mean, those are some great questions. We always try to answer them as honestly and thoughtfully as we can, but there's a lot of value in having some open, transparent communication. So thanks for participation. Appreciate everyone who is in the room today over in Billingsley, part of the event. And I just hope everyone has a great summer. We look forward to fall. I think it'll be really an energizing time. Our campus will be much more alive than it's been in a while. Those relationships that Emma and others have talked about will be a little easier to build and maintain. So thanks for being here, everyone, and have a great weekend.